Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. Today, SpaceX freezes a giant, the Epstein files get vibe-coded by AI, and the developer world is drowning in new agents from OpenAI to the open source underground. We have a massive stack of updates to get through today. It feels like one of those days where the physical world and the digital world are just moving at two completely different speeds.
But both are absolutely redlined.
Alpha redline,
Right,
exactly.
okay.
We've got hardware news that literally shakes the ground in Texas, and then software news that is probably making every junior developer, well, nervous about their job security. It's a lot.
It really is. And looking at the stack today, I'm seeing a very specific theme emerging. On one hand, you have the industrial titans, SpaceX, NASA, doing the hard, slow, dangerous work of moving atoms.
The real stuff.
The real stuff. And on the other, you have this explosion of agentic AI that just happened in the last 24 hours. It's frantic. And honestly, looking at some of these new tools, I'm seeing a lot of hype, sure, but I'm also seeing some massive security holes that nobody seems to be talking about yet.
Well, that is exactly why we are here. Let's unpack this, and let's start with the heavy metal. We are going down to Starbase. The team at SpaceX just dropped a major update on the Super Heavy V3 booster. This is booster 19.
Right, the 70-meter beast.
Exactly. They just completed cryoproofs operations.
Yeah.
For those who don't speak rocket scientists, cryoproof sounds cool. But what are they actually doing to the metal here?
It's basically a torture test. They take this 70-meter stainless steel skyscraper and they fill it with supercooled liquid methane and liquid oxygen.
Wow.
We're talking temperatures hundreds of degrees below zero. And the goal is to simulate the insane internal pressures of a launch, but without actually lighting the candle. The metal contracts, the welds are stressed to their limit, and you usually hear a lot of creaking and groaning.
And in the past, sometimes a loud bang.
Exactly. And that's the key context here. Back in November 2025, just a few months ago, they had a V3 prototype on the stand. It didn't just fail, it ruptured.
Right, I remember that.
The common bulkhead, the wall separating the fuel from the oxidizer, it collapsed. And that was a significant setback for the program. So this test on Booster 19, it wasn't just a routine checklist item. This was the validation.
For the redesign.
For the redesigned propellant tanks, and the structural integrity of the entire V3 architecture.
And what blows my mind is the timeline. I was reading the notes on this. They assembled this thing in under 72 days. That is their fastest build yet.
That's the so what here. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's not just about building one rocket. It's about the manufacturing cadence.
The factory.
The factory model. If you want to colonize Mars, you can't spend 6 months welding a booster. You need to be pumping these out like cars. The fact that they went from a rupture in November to a fully cryoproofed, redesigned booster in February 2026, that is industrial velocity that, well, traditional aerospace just can't match, this paves the way for Flight 12 in Q1.
It's incredible. But while SpaceX is perfecting the metal, NASA is dealing with the meat. And I mean that in the most respectful way possible. We have an update on the Artemis II mission.
Ah, the biological cost of spaceflight. This is fascinating.
So the crew Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen, they're prepping for the lunar flyby. But NASA just released a report on what they're actually studying during this trip. And it is not just geology.
No, and this is the stuff that usually gets glossed over in the sci-fi movies. They're focusing heavily on deep space radiation effects, and specifically something called spaceflight-associated neuroocular syndrome. SANS. It sounds unpleasant.
It is. Basically, on Earth, gravity pulls the fluids in your body down. In microgravity, that fluid shifts upward into your head. It creates pressure. Over time, combined with deep space radiation, this pressure actually flattens the back of your eyeballs.
It flattens the eyeball. Seriously.
Yes. It pushes the optic nerve forward and causes optic disc edema. The data NASA is looking at shows that 20 to 40% of long-duration astronauts develop this. That's a huge percentage.
It is. And Artemis II is unique because they're leaving low Earth orbit. They're going out past the Van Allen belts, where the radiation shielding of the Earth doesn't protect them.
So you're saying while SpaceX is figuring out how to keep the fuel tanks from rupturing, NASA is trying to figure out how to keep the astronauts' eyes from failing.
Precisely. It's a reminder that the hardware is arguably ahead of the biology right now. We can build the ship, but can we keep the human operational inside of it for a 6-month transit to Mars? That's still a very open question.
Imagine trying to land a Starship on Mars while your vision is blurring because your eyeballs have changed shape.
It's a terrifying thought.
It's a sobering thought. The rocket works, but the pilot can't see the controls. Okay, let's pivot from the vacuum of space to the equally hostile environment of the tech industry. We need to talk about the agent economy.
The digital frontier.
It has been a wild 24 hours. It feels like the dam just broke.
Yeah.
Let's start with the incumbent. OpenAI just dropped GPT 5.2 to power their ChatGPT deep research tool. This rolled out literally today, February 10th.
And this is significant just because of the version number, GPT 5.2. We've been hearing rumors, but this confirms the iteration. It signifies they aren't waiting for some grand GPT-6 reveal event. They're just pushing code to production.
And the features are wild. It's not just generating text anymore. It connects to external apps for site-specific searches. It creates full-screen reports with data visualization. It feels less like a chatbot and more like, well, a research analyst.
What's fascinating here is the shift in the user interface. They're introducing this concept of interruption.
What do you mean by that?
You can monitor the AI's progress in real time and steer it. And that sounds like a small UI tweak, but it's a massive philosophical shift.
Yeah.
It means the model is becoming less of a tool you use, like a hammer, and more of an employee you manage.
You check in on it, you say, no, don't look at that source, look at this one, and you let it finish its report. You are moving from being a creator to being a manager.
That is a great way to put it. But is this an iPhone moment where everything changes? Or is this just another feature update in a very crowded market? Because OpenAI isn't the only one making noise today.
No, and I think their dominance is more fragile than it looks. You have this whole wave of challengers attacking them from the sides.
Let's talk about those challengers. First up, we have Warp.dev. They just launched a platform called Oz.
Right, the cloud agents.
This looks intense. It's an orchestration platform. From your terminal, you can spin up hundreds of agents. And here's the kicker. Each agent gets its own Docker environment. Now, for the non-developers listening, why does that Docker part matter so much?
Think of a Docker container as a sealed shipping container for code. It has everything the software needs to run, the OS, the libraries, the settings, all inside the box.
So it's isolated. It's isolated. Usually when you run an AI agent on your laptop, it's messy. It tries to install things, it breaks your settings. It's the classic, it works on my machine problem.
So Warp is basically giving you a cargo ship full of these containers.
Exactly. They're saying, don't run this on your laptop. You can have 100 agents running in the cloud, each in its own box. They can write code, test it, even open pull requests on GitHub.
Their pitch is, come back from your lunch break to code that's ready to merge.
It's seductive, but think about the economics of that. If one senior developer can orchestrate 100 agents to do the grunt work writing tests, updating dependencies, what happens to the junior developer?
Their job.
Their job. The definition of entry-level work is just evaporating. This solves a scale problem for companies, but it creates a massive talent pipeline problem. How do you become a senior dev if you never got to do the junior work because an agent named Oz did it all while the senior was at lunch?
That is the labor crisis waiting to happen. But speaking of economics, there's another player entering the ring called Orchids by Orchids app. They launched version 1.0 today. And their angle is totally different. They're calling it the bring your own key model.
This is the counter movement. We're seeing subscription fatigue. People are tired of paying $20 a month to OpenAI, $20 to Anthropic, $10 to Midjourney. It all adds up so fast.
Orchids lets you build any app web, mobile bots, but you plug in your own API keys. Use your own Claude subscription, your own Gemini key.
So you're paying for the chassis, but you bring your own gas.
Exactly. It pushes cost control back to the user. It's a very smart play for power users who already have these API access points, and they don't want to pay a markup to a middleman platform. It challenges the unit economics of the big SaaS providers.
And it forces the big platforms to justify their margins. If I can get the same intelligence cheaper by plugging my key into Orchids, why am I paying a premium somewhere else?
Now, all of these agents, whether it's Warp or Orchids, they need speed. You can't have an agent waiting 3 seconds for a response if you're running 1,000 of them. And that brings us to the infrastructure layer.
Ah, yes. The plumbing.
Ben Dicken posted some benchmarks about Bun. It's a JavaScript runtime. And the numbers are, well, they're staggering. It's running the event loop 2 times faster than Node.js on macOS. We're talking 3.82 million iterations versus 1.62 million.
I know. To the average listener, event loop iterations sounds like total nerd trivia. But here's why you should care. The agent economy runs on messages. Agents talking to agents talking to APIs.
That's all just traffic.
It's high-volume traffic. Think of the event loop like a waiter in a restaurant. Node.js is a waiter that can check 1.6 million tables a second. Bun is a waiter that can check 3.8 million tables a second.
Okay, that makes sense.
If we're moving to this agent economy where software is talking to software at high volume, that plumbing needs to be incredibly efficient. If you're running those 100 agents on Wharf and you're on Silicon, you need that raw throughput. Bun is basically providing the highways these agents are going to drive on. If the highway is twice as fast, the agents are twice as cheap to run.
So we have the brains from OpenAI, the workforce from Work, and the highway from Bun. But now we have to talk about the creepy part, the part where the agents leave the cloud and enter your pocket.
This is where I get skeptical.
Let's talk about OpenClaw. This was trending heavily today. It's from Roundtable Space. They're claiming it is the world's first iOS app to deploy a full OpenClaw local AI agent in under 30 seconds.
Full OpenClaw. Even the name sounds aggressive, like it's grabbing something.
It runs locally on your iPhone, and it can access your phone features, your camera, your GPS. It can even interact with apps like WhatsApp and Telegram.
And right away, that just raises a massive red flag for me. Look, the pro argument is privacy. It runs on your device, not in the cloud. Your data stays with you. And that's great, in theory.
But the con?
But the con, you are installing an autonomous agent that has permission to read your messages, track your location, and see through your camera.
But isn't that what we want? I mean, a truly personal assistant.
We think we want that. But we're asking users to make a massive trust leap. It's one thing to ask ChatGPT to write a poem. It is a completely different thing to give an agent the keys to your entire digital life. What happens if there's a bug?
Or a hallucination.
Exactly. Imagine a rogue agent scenario. You ask it to send my location to my wife, but the agent hallucinates, or it misinterprets a contact name, and sends your real-time GPS coordinates to your boss.
Oh, no.
Or to a client. Or it decides to reply to a WhatsApp message autonomously because it thought you asked it to.
Hey, boss, I'm at the bar. Sent automatically at 2 p.m.
Exactly. The security implications of local high-permission agents are a nightmare that we haven't even begun to solve. We sandbox apps for a reason. OpenClaw is essentially trying to break out of the sandbox to be useful. Convenience is high, sure, but is that convenience worth the risk of a security hole that is literally inside your pocket?
It's a classic privacy paradox.
Right.
We want the magic, but we don't want the surveillance, even if the surveillance is coming from our own tool. But speaking of digging into data, let's move to how these tools are impacting culture, because it's not just about coding apps or scheduling meetings, it's about transparency.
This story about the Epstein files, this is a heavy one.
Yes. Amjad Masad, the CEO of Replit, shared this. A user on Replit vibe-coded, which is their term for building an app, just by describing it to an AI, a visualization tool for the Epstein files.
And we need to clarify the scale here. The DOJ released 3.5 million pages under the Transparency Act.
3.5 million pages. No human can read that. It's effectively a data dump that's designed to be ignored.
Right. In the old world, that is a censorship tactic, information overload. You dump enough hay, nobody finds the needle.
Here.
You'd need a team of 20 investigative journalists working for 6 months to map out the connections in that dump.
But this user, they vibe-coded a network graph explorer in an afternoon.
That is the power shift. The user didn't write the code line by line. They likely just prompted the AI. Take these documents, extract all the names, find the relationships, and plot them on a time series graph. And the AI did it.
It connects figures like Ghislaine Maxwell, Bill Clinton. It creates a timeline. It's a full investigative dashboard.
This is the democratization of investigation. It's citizen journalism, weaponized by AI. And the timing, Amjad pointed out that lawmakers were raising disputes about transparency just hours before this dropped.
So the government releases the data, maybe hoping it's too dense to parse quickly.
And then a random user with an AI tool turns it into a searchable, interactive graph instantly.
It really changes how we hold power accountable. AI becomes the magnet that pulls the needles out of the haystack.
It does. But again, we have to be the skeptics here. Does the AI hallucinate a connection? Does it misinterpret a legal document and accuse someone falsely? We're giving random users the power of a newsroom, but without the editorial standards or the legal department to verify the facts. It's powerful, but it's dangerous.
That is a very, very good point. We are moving fast, and things are breaking. And honestly, looking at the developer community today, the people building this stuff are breaking too.
The burnout factor. It's real.
I saw a post from Kai Lentit today that just perfectly captured the mood. It's a satirical video, but it hurts because it's true. It's about AI models expiring faster than session cache.
I saw that, the joke about going from Cursor to Opus 4.5 to Codex 5.3 in the span of 20 minutes.
It's funny, but it's also not. The shelf life of a skill in 2026 is measured in, what, days?
It highlights the exhaustion in the sector. Everyone's just running to stand still. You spend a week mastering a workflow with one model, learning its quirks, how to prompt it, and then a new model drops. That makes your entire workflow obsolete.
It feels like you can never actually get good at anything before it changes.
It's intellectually violent. That's the only way to describe it. We talk about the agent economy replacing jobs, but right now it's mostly just driving the people who have the jobs insane. You're constantly pivoting.
Intellectually violent. That is a phrase that is going to stick with me. So let's wrap this up. We have rockets freezing, ice flattening, agents multiplying, and developers burning out. It's quite a Tuesday.
It means we're in a phase of maximum chaos. The guardrails are not built yet. We are launching the rockets and writing the code, but we haven't figured out the safety protocols for the biological humans, whether they're astronauts facing radiation or coders facing obsolescence.
So looking ahead to tomorrow, based on this absolute avalanche of agent news, what's your prediction?
I'm looking at OpenClaw and I'm looking at Warp. My prediction is that the operating systems are going to strike back. Based on the security risks we just discussed, the GPS tracking, the file access, I expect Apple or Microsoft to announce an OS-level agent permission crackdown within the week.
You think so?
They cannot let third-party agents roam around the file system like this. This security hole is just too big to leave open. They're going to lock it down.
The Empire strikes back against the rebel agents. I can see it happening. Well, that is all we have time for today. Keep your agents contained and your boosters frozen. We'll see you tomorrow.
Stay safe out there.